Welcome to Trippy Commentaries and our coverage of the 2014 NFL Draft. We are watching it live and bringing you guys our instant reactions on what we think about all of the picks. We have made it all the way to pick number 19. The Miami Dolphins, we were quite sure they would go with an offensive line. At this point, I thought they would go with Cyrus Kouandjio now that we had Zach Martin off the board. I think it was a slightly surprising pick here. They went with Jawan James. Yep. What'd you think, Kyle? Are you okay with that?
I like it. He's a versatile offensive lineman. He can play tackle. He can play guard. He's 6'6", 311 pounds. He's a beast. And the more film that I watched on him, because I didn't see a whole lot of him last year with Tennessee, but the more I watched on him during the whole scouting process, the guy can play. I mean, he is almost right up there on the level of some of these other tackles that were drafted earlier in this draft. And I like what I've seen from him. He's a beast when it comes to the run game. He's also good at dropping back, and he was very consistent player. Played great week in and week out last year for Tennessee.
Yeah, I will admit that I didn't get to see as much of his tape as other people. I did watch a little bit of it, but I thought he was going second round, so I really didn't concentrate on him as much. But sure enough, he went pretty high, 19.
They need an offensive lineman, and to have a guy like this who's versatile. Look, I mean, they need guards and tackles right now, so Dolphins really need offensive linemen. So maybe later in the draft, maybe there's a guy that they feel is a good enough tackle, and they can move him to guard or vice versa. So he's a really good pickup for Dolphins because they desperately need an offensive lineman.
Absolutely, and this is one of those picks that we looked at each other and said, if it'll shock us if they don't go with offensive line, and sure enough, they do. By the way, I'm RJ. Kyle, let's move on to the New Orleans pick here. They went with...
It was actually a trade here. The Cardinals had the 20th pick. They actually made a trade with the Saints. Saints moving up here. Who do they pick?
Money pick here. No other way to say it. Brandon Cooks. As a Bucs fan, I was scared of this. As soon as they traded up, instantly I was like, they're going to draft Brandon Cooks. Those bastards. They're going to get incredibly good on offense. Even better. They made the pick. I love it. Jesus, they're going to be great.
This is that pick in a draft that puts a team over. The Saints are that team. And like I said it earlier in the draft when the Bills moved up to get Watkins, I was like, it doesn't make sense to me because you're moving up. You're losing a first-round pick next year. You're moving up to get this player, and that one player is not going to put you over the edge. For the Saints here, this player definitely puts them over the edge. This makes their offense legit. Great compliment to Colston. Drew Brees has got weapons again. They lost Sproles. This guy right here kind of puts that wow factor back in it. That speed guy. You can run screens for him. You can hit him deep. Is exactly what they needed. And for them to move up here and get Brandon Cooks, as like you said, we're Bucs fans obviously. This hurt us because this is a guy that for him to fall this far. First of all, is just not right. I thought Brandon Cooks was right behind Evans. Maybe Beckham was a little better, but I felt that a lot of these teams that passed on him could have definitely used him. He's that explosive player that's going to break it deep, and it's a great pickup for the Saints and a great move. And really, this puts I could see this. I might call it right now that the Saints could be competing for that NFC Championship this year.
Absolutely. They might be my early favorite. It's hard to go against those two NFC West juggernauts. But Brandon Cooks, this is just a perfect fit for these guys. It's almost like the Saints can tell the future. They trade Darren Sproles, and I'm kind of looking at that like, okay, I mean, I guess, but that's such a good weapon. Well, now you got Brandon Cooks, you really don't need him as much. This guy is going to blow up, no doubt about it. Guy I love to have him fit in that system. Money. The Green Bay Packers. This is one of those picks we said in our mock draft right before this draft. We said if clinton-dix is available, there's no way they can not get him here. And sure enough, the pick comes. Clinton-Dix is available. Goodell comes up to the podium and says, Clinton-Dix. You can't say anything wrong because that was a big time need for him. They fit the need with the player they wanted. They got him, which is saying something considering they were down there in the 20s. I like the pick.
I can't believe he fell this low, honestly. To me, he's a great coverage cornerback. He's going to be a guy who's going to be all over the field. It's exactly what the Packers needed. And for the Packers, hey, they're just like sitting here at 21. Thank you. The guy that they probably wanted in the back of their mind the whole time actually fell to him. And, it's great when you can have a good season the year before and you come back and your guy that you want falls to you.
Now, the next pick is going to be a very, very interesting one because it's the Arizona Cardinals. Both of us were looking at it.
Actually, it's the Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles here. They have the 22nd pick, and actually what happens here is the Browns.
That's right. The Eagles. I was looking at the trades. The Cardinals were the trades with the Saints. That's right. My bad.
A lot of confusion because a lot of trades going on. That's crazy. Know. Eagles actually had the 22nd pick. They have now made a trade with the Cleveland Browns for the 22nd pick. What are the Cleveland Browns going to do here? I mean, they're moving up. If they can pull off a Johnny Manziel right here, this would be ridiculous because they didn't address the quarterback need to begin with. They moved around. If they move around again and get something like this, it's going to be ridiculous. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what they're thinking here about moving up.
Yeah, I mean, we were a little surprised about this trade as well. We thought that the Eagles, might be looking for one of those wide receivers, but, of course, Brandon Cooks off the board, Odell Beckham off the board. It did make sense for them to trade up. Lucky day for the Browns. They are having a great draft because when they pick Justin Gilbert, a lot of their fans are like, damn it, we wanted Johnny Manziel. Sure enough, pick 22. They get their guy. They get Johnny Football. So now they have their cake and eat it too. They add the cornerback, the best cornerback in the draft. They add Johnny Manziel. This guy, I had them picking him a little bit higher. Of course, they're at the number 4 pick, but I had them picking him just because I really wanted to see it happen. I feel like this is a great spot for him, and I'm very happy that Johnny Football has landed in Cleveland.
Oh, I agree. It's a great fit for both teams. I feel the Browns right now are early favorite. Obviously, they've been doing a lot of moving around. Ray Farmer doing an excellent job with trading. I mean, look, they've locked up like we said, who we felt was probably the best all-around cornerback in the draft because of his ability to also do kick returns and punt returns and be effective. Mm-hmm. Now they just got, in my opinion, the number 1 quarterback in the draft, who I think is going to be more successful than the other quarterbacks in this draft. And then they also have 2 first-round picks next year. This team is on the right path. They're on the right. They're trying to build teams. They're trying to build an identity. You're going to have Johnny Manziel with Josh Gordon. A lot of people want to hate on Manziel for all this other crap that doesn't matter. Manziel is going to do everything he can to win a game. He's going to have Josh Gordon, so he's still going to have that guy he can throw it to for all the people who were saying, Mike Evans made Manziel. Well, Josh Gordon can make Manziel. You also have Jordan Cameron, who's a beast, who's another guy that is going to benefit from having a guy like Manziel, he's got to learn to stay in the pocket, make the right throws, and if all else fails, now pull it down and run it, and go ahead and do your thing. But try to get down before you can get hit. But don't play scared. Play aggressive. Play how you've played your whole career so far. Look, injuries are going to happen. It happens everywhere. Happens to big guys, happens to small guys. Doesn't matter who you are. You're probably going to get injured at some point in the NFL. Let's hope it's not a bad one. But play your game the way you know how to play it. If you have a chance to get out of bounds, get out of bounds. Everything I've seen from Manziel, all the scouts, everything they're saying, I like him a lot. And I don't care about the off-field stuff. Great pickup for the Browns.
Absolutely, and they're my early favorite for probably the best draft, at least so far. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
The Kansas City Chiefs, they went with D. Ford. Surprised us a little bit, but you can't complain. This guy's going to be good in that system. And, great job by Kansas City bolstering the defense, which fell off at the end of the year.
Their defense started off good, and I think their defense is very solid. Another guy who's going to add to that pass rush is going to be great. So, I mean, this is a guy that's going to be big for the Chiefs, and I agree. I like their pick here with going D Ford. We were thinking maybe they're going to go wide receiver here, something to complement Bo, help out Charles a little bit in the run game. But I think they feel that they can still get. This is a deep wide receiver draft. There's going to be a lot of receivers going in the second round.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is smart by them because they know their bread and butter is their defense, which pretty much failed them at the end of the year. they were able to score. Props to them. Alex Smith impressed me.
Yeah.
Of course, Jamal Charles, this guy's going to put points on the board, that's for sure. And Dwayne Bowe even came through in that playoff game, but it was the defense that failed them.
Yeah.
Strange considering they were the number one team for much of the season, even higher than the Broncos, because their defense was so good. Eventually, it failed on them. They're definitely attempting to improve that coming into this 2014 season with the first overall pick there, or the first Kansas City pick, that is. Now we're going to move on to the Cincinnati Bengals. Me and Kyle had them going with a defensive end. They decided to go a different spot. They went to the defensive backfield there, picked up cornerback Darqueze Dennard. Now, I got to say, my prediction here is that they felt Dennard was not going to be available for them.
No.
I felt he should have went higher, and sure enough, he fell to him. I thought that they probably went with the best player available scenario, you think? What's your call?
I agree. I think Cincinnati standing there like, okay, Dennard's available. We're definitely going to take him. I can't believe he's available right now. I agree. I thought the Lions were going to pick him earlier in the draft. I feel a lot of Lions fans, a lot of people around the Lions organization felt that he'd be a great fit for him. But credit to the Bengals. I mean, it's another team that, look, you made it to the playoffs. Now you got another cornerback who's going to help, solidify your defense, who was already good last year. They're just going to get better. Defense is key. We're starting to see this momentum moving in the NFL. Definitely got to beat for defense up.
Absolutely. Props to them. Darqueze Dennard is going to be an instant starter in that defense, which is already one of the best defenses in the league. So it's just saying something. When you can take a strength and make it stronger, that's really an interesting factor here. You hear so much about, let's fix our weakness. Let's make sure. And we all have, every team's got to do that, no doubt about it. But at the same time, it's not such a bad thing to make a strength even stronger, because then you can start to get overpowering in some areas. Defense is a good area to do that.
Yeah.
Props to Cincinnati. I love that pick, and I'm interested to see how they can do this season. I certainly question their quarterback, but other than that, I mean, an up-and-coming running back, one of the best wide receivers in the league, and one of the best defenses in the league, on top of one of the best offensive lines in the league.
Yep.
They're stacked.
They are stacked.
What can they do?
Exactly.
Let's move on to the San Diego Superchargers. This was a pick me and you both correctly predicted in our final mock draft. Jason Verrett. I like the pick a lot. A big-time need for San Diego. We have talked about how they started Richard Marshall last year. That is not good for a team that's in the playoffs here, and that is looking to make another run this year. What do you think about the pick? I know you predicted it correctly.
Yeah, I picked it. Well, I feel they definitely need to help their secondary out. I felt they got burned in some of those games. That's especially against the Broncos, who's a team that they're going to have to be able to overcome this year.
Yeah.
I think they have a chance to do it. I like Verrett. The thing with Verrett, I mean, a lot of their good cornerbacks, obviously I think they would rather have gotten somebody a little more dominant, a little bigger maybe in size, to go up against, Demaryius Thomas, some of these other guys that he might get, have to face. But the thing I love about Verrett, man, this guy's a scrappy player. He comes out to play. He is undersized, but, I mean, this guy is all over the field. He's going to be in everybody's face. He plays the game hard. He knows he's undersized, so he knows that he has to hustle, 10 times harder than anybody else in that field because he is undersized. He understands this. He had a great season last year. I like what I see from him, and I think he's a guy who's going to also help in the run game because he's going to come and make some tackles.
Yeah, now the next pick, man, I'll tell you what, my notes are all messed up with these trades left and right. I mean, this next pick is the Eagles, who got the pick from the Browns through the Colts.
From last year, yep.
So here we go, Philadelphia on the board. I think we both fully expected him to go wide receiver. Without Deshaun Jackson, that's a big-time hole. You had a great quote in our final mock draft there where you said, I know Chip Kelly, and I know he wants his weapons.
Yeah.
And right now their number one wide receiver is Riley Cooper. I mean, we like him good enough, but as a number one, it's a little bit scary.
You just lost your number one receiver you had last year in Jackson, who had a great season with Chip Kelly. I don't understand why they didn't re-sign him to bring him back. We're thinking, yes, maybe they do go wide receiver here. There's still some good wide receivers, a Marquise Lee who's out there, a few other good players, that they could possibly draft, but I don't really understand this pick.
Well, yeah, because my instant theory before we say it is that they wanted Brandon Cooks. They didn't expect him to go off the board, and I think the Saints, by trading up, probably undercutted them, possibly some other teams. So they had to go a really odd direction here. They went Marcus Smith, defensive end, also linebacker, depending on what the Eagles want to do there. You don't want to question Chip Kelly too much, but like you said, this surprised us. This might have been one of the most surprising picks in the in the first round here. But we all know that these NFL teams do their research. They must have had this guy high on their list coming into the day.
Something they liked about him, because I mean, you still have Coney Ely, who's on the board, who I felt was, besides Clowney, the next best pure defensive end type pass rusher you could bring in. So kind of feeling they might have reached here in this pick. I feel they may have probably been able to get him maybe in the second round. With some of the players who are still on the board, some of these great receivers that Eagles offense is going to need. I mean they you got to fill the void for losing Jackson, and they haven't done that yet. Maybe they think they can get one of these good receivers in the second round. Like I've said, this draft is definitely very receiver. It's a lot of depth. Yeah. So maybe they feel they can get their guy in the second round. But interesting pick. But I mean, I don't blame them for trying to beef their defense up. I mean, there's nothing wrong with trying to do that, and I think everybody agrees with that. When your team picks a solid defensive player. Not taking anything away from Marcus Smith. I feel he's a little better, but Marcus Smith is also very good, very athletic guy, and kudos to the Eagles for thinking of what they really need, and I guess they felt they need a pass rush more than a receiver right now.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out. We know their offense was a strength, so I'm sure they wanted to do something about their defense, and Marcus Smith apparently was their highest ranked guy at that time, on the defensive line at least. Mm-hmm. The Cardinals now, they get their trade back from the Saints here. They move back to the 27th pick, and they go with Washington State safety Dion Buchanan. Another surprising pick. There was a couple surprising picks back to back. I thought they might go with maybe Jimmy Ward. They've been bolstering their safeties. They got Tyrann Mathieu now. I know he had a bad injury, so maybe they're looking for depth there. Surprising.
Well, see, at first I was, but then I went back and looked at my notes here on Buchanan, and the thing is, Tyrann Mathieu is that playmaker. He's going to be all over the field. He's going to be getting interceptions. He's that guy to make the play. Buchanan's one of the bigger safeties in this draft, maybe even one of the fastest safeties in this draft. He is a guy who's going to come around and make plays. Wasn't highly touted because he came out of Washington State and obviously didn't have a lot of the buzz that some of these other guys had. Clinton-Dix, he's definitely bigger than him. He's faster than him. Calvin Pryor, same thing. He's bigger and faster than both these guys. He's going to be a good complement to Mathieu, and I think that's a good pickup here for the Cardinals. They feel they want to beef their defensive up, like I said. Especially the Cardinals need to. Look at the division that they're in. They need to go contend on the defensive side with these, with the 49ers and Seahawks. So I mean, I think this is going to wrap us up for this video. Mm-hmm. Check us out for the next video. We're going to go over the last 5 teams of the draft. We got the Panthers, the Patriots, 49ers, Broncos, Seahawks. All teams that we know are good. They don't need anybody right now. Panthers, they kind of do. They need some receivers because they lost all the receivers in the offseason here so far. But the other 4 teams, they're all pretty solid. So interesting moves here. Maybe another trade possible.
Absolutely. I think I'm looking for a trade here towards the end of the draft. One more, why not? We've had so many. Might as well add one more there. Thank you guys for watching the episode. Please subscribe if you're new to the channel. We really appreciate it. And we'll catch you in the next installment where we finish off the first round of the 2014 NFL Draft. Peace out, guys.